Good morning, everybody. Great pleasure to welcome you this morning to the event Venture Briefing. My name is Julia Borri, and we are here at the University of Geneva to celebrate the Week of Entrepreneurship. So this event is part of a larger program, and we are very happy to be here. Together, to our collaborators for this event are the University of Geneva with Unitech and the Science Hub of Innovation, and Fongit. Thanks to all of you for supporting us in making this happen. The Venture Briefing events are a series that take place all over Switzerland in universities to motivate young scientists to go and launch a startup. This series is supported by the Gebhard Foundation. Among these programs, the First Ventures, InnoBoosters, Venture Kick. We're going to talk about these in a minute. With me this morning to present, we have Matthias Kuhn, working for Unitech, University of Geneva, and James Miners, who will join us online in a little bit. My name is Julia Borri. I work for Venture Lab, a company that is supporting entrepreneurs all around Switzerland with programs and tools. We'll say a few words also a bit later. Our speakers today, you can see sitting next to me, we have Blas Pegenauze and André Babik. Thank you to both of you for joining this session today. Brief look on the agenda. So we'll start with a few words. André will talk later. Then we have a Q&A. Blas will introduce Neya, his company. We'll have again a Q&A, and we'll close the event. The objectives of today are quite straightforward. We would like you to learn about the local ecosystem. What are the options you have if you want to launch a company? How can you get training? How can you get some financial support, some grants or convertible loans? We'll present that. We want you to be inspired. We have two entrepreneurs here that took a leap of faith, that launched a company, and they're going to share how this happened and what are the ups and downs of this decision. And we want you to get some advice. We want you to feel supported, that you know that there's an ecosystem that want to help you if you one day launch a company. Now a few words about the programs that are funded by the Gebhard Foundation. First of all, Venture Kick. I think some of you have heard about it. The two entrepreneurs here with us today have participated and received some grants from this program. You can get up to 150,000 Swiss francs if you get through the 3 stages. On top of the money, you get access to a lot of visibility and hands-on support. As mentioned, there are 3 kicks. So you have a first one, which is a grant of 10,000. Then you have 40K as a convertible loan and 100K if you pass the last stage, again, as a convertible loan. In between those stages, you get very hands-on and sometimes maybe hardcore training by Jordi Montserrat, founder of Venture Lab, and you learn how to have a very viable and solid business case. As soon as you reach this first stage, you get access to another program which is called InnoBooster, again from the Gebhard Foundation. InnoBoosters are up to 150,000 that you get on top of the Venture Kick funding. Another very important program for all students that are listening to us this morning is First Ventures. First Ventures is a program for all students that are joining from the University of Applied Sciences. Here in Geneva, many of you can benefit from up to 150,000 Swiss francs as a grant. So it is really money to support innovation here in Geneva, but also all around Switzerland. So if you're joining here online from another city, you can also apply. And you get also individually tailored coaching through this program, highly recommended for all our students at the University of Applied Sciences. You can join twice a year. I see that the next intake will not be November 15, but probably in 6 months. I'll invite you to go see on the website grsstiftung.ch. It goes in 3 stages. You get a first feedback once you apply online. Then you have a deeper feedback. They will invite you to send more detailed application. And finally, you will be invited for a pitch. I'm now happy to invite our partners to present some of the local programs here. And first of all, I would like to thank Unitech, the Science Innovation Hub in Fongit, for also supporting entrepreneurs here in Geneva and for being part of this event. One quick word about the Science Innovation Hub that's been here for 18 months, supporting entrepreneurs in Geneva, the university, scientists, researchers that have an idea of a startup they want to launch. Through this hub, they get access to spaces, an infrastructure, some coaching, a large ecosystem that can help them. So I'm inviting any students and researchers that are in the domain to join that initiative. I would like now to invite Matthias Kuhn to join us here on stage to present Unitech. I think we have yes. Thank you, Matthias.
Hello everyone, thank you to Venture Lab for the opportunity to present ourselves this morning. We are co-founders of this Entrepreneurship Week in Geneva. Very happy to host this session this year again. Unitech is the Technology Transfer Office of the University of Geneva, serving the University of Geneva, the University of Geneva Hospital, and the School of Applied Sciences in Geneva, HESSO, Genève. We have mainly two missions. One is to bring technologies developed in our labs to the market. The second one is to help the researchers negotiate their research contracts with the industry. And we have a subsidiary one, which this year is quite important. In November, it's the support to entrepreneurship, including the organization of Global Entrepreneurship Week here in Geneva. So that's for us. Thank you for following this session, and I wish you a great session.
Thank you, Matthias. I am now going to invite a partner that could not join us here in physical, but is online with us. It is James Miners. James, I'm really happy to be able to invite you now to present Fongit.
Good morning, everybody. I'm delighted to be here. Thanks for the opportunity, because I am an example of a scientist that made the transformation and became an entrepreneur. And at Fongit, we help innovators transform their idea or research into successful Swiss startups. Next. So, Fongit is devised by innovators for innovators, and we help people with an idea transform this into a successful startup by increasing their success rate and enabling them to focus on customer and product development, as well as increasing their ability to raise funds. So we do this by what we call full service incubation, where we combine all of the components that a startup needs, from the governance, setting up the company, to the coaching, to the ability to spend time with other entrepreneurs and learn from them, and connecting with the entire ecosystem in Switzerland. So next. Today we support over 80 top tech startups, and I'm proud that they have been able to launch over 100 good new products that are making the world a better place. When we select our products, we decide, are they good startups, but also, are these startups contributing to the Sustainable Development Goals? And you can see our startups are representing over 400 jobs and have raised over 300 million Swiss francs over the last years. So, why come to Fongit? Well, if you want to boost your success, avoid the classic mistakes, learn from the best, and grow faster, you're welcome to be here. An incubator is the center of startup life, and that's why all of the investors and the supporters also come to Fongit to discover the talent and the world-class startups that are there. So next, we welcome you to join our Innovation Nation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, James.
I am now going to invite our first speaker, and I'm very happy to invite now Andrei Babik. Thanks for joining us, co-founder of Adipos, a young medtech startup. You are alumni of the University of Geneva, and you're going to share with us today how you got there, how you became CEO from being a scientist to now having a company with quite a few employees and first rounds of seed money coming up soon, I heard, and looking forward to hearing the details. I'm inviting you to join me here.
So thank you very much, Julia, for this kind invitation. Thank you for having me. Hi, everybody. My name is Andrei. I'm a co-founder and CEO of Adipos. So the goal of today was not to present Adipos, but let me just say a word about the company. Adipos is a Geneva-based biotech, medtech company developing medical imaging products and technologies. And it's an absolute pleasure to be a part of this venture briefing today. So Julia asked me to tell you a little bit about my journey, how I became an entrepreneur. And you can see here on this slide, well, it's very simple. Ever since I was a kid, I liked Monopoly. So that's a big part of, where I am today and why I am an entrepreneur. The second part, of course, is education. I was lucky enough to have great education, come here to Geneva to do a postdoc and stay a senior researcher, as you will see later on. So having a biotech, medtech startup requires a certain level of education, so it is important. Thirdly, ideas. I'm a guy who has ideas which I hope have value. So yes, that is important. And last but really not the least, Adipos develops a product that's a win-win-win product. So patients benefit, our customers, doctors benefit, the healthcare system benefit because the total cost is less, and of course the startup benefits. So all that taken together is why I'm here today, talking to you why you should take the leap. And then just briefly about my journey into entrepreneurship. As I mentioned, I was working at the University of Geneva as a senior researcher, and you see, I got involved in a company called Alanostics. And for various reasons, it just didn't work out. And that's another thing. You have to be prepared to fail. And yes, that one did, unfortunately, as you see here. But fortunately for me, I was here in Switzerland. And the idea of Adipos was already brewing in my head. So I attended workshops by Venture Lab, organized by Venture Lab, called Biotech Business Creation Workshop, and then the AIT India. I joined with Julia going to India and coming back in Switzerland here. And then, yes, Adipos was supported by Venture Kick. We won stages 1, 2, and 3. And of course, I cannot forget support by Fondation Eclosion here in Canton of Genève, Fondation FIT, and Mesh Challenge Switzerland. So the ecosystem is here. If you want to start a company, everything is here to help you. So, and then brings me to CEO of Adipos. Yes, we are closing our seed financing round. The first patients will benefit from our product as early as next year. And yeah, to finish, you don't have to be great to start, but you need to start to be great. Thank you very much. That's all for me. Feel free to ask questions. Thanks.
Thank you very much, André. You can join us back here. Very interesting. I have to say that I guess a few people online must wonder what Adipose does. So maybe if you can say in a sentence or two, how do your patients actually benefit from your product?
So Adipose is developing a game-changing product for patients with chronic diseases and cancer, because we can detect a syndrome called body wasting syndrome or cachexia up to a year earlier, where patients do not lose weight and do not lose survival and quality of life.
Thank you. That's splendid. And you created this yourself. So are you the CTO of the company as well?
So I created Adipose with my co-founder, Justyna Plewka. She's responsible for business, finance, and operations of the company. And right now, the core team is 4 people. We have a chief scientific officer, Nathalie Stransky, and chief development officer, Tien Duc Tran, joining the founder team.
Fantastic. Just a reminder for everyone online, don't hesitate to use the chat, because I'm actually reading your comments here, so I can ask questions directly to André. André, another question we received: when did you decide actually to quit research to become an entrepreneur? So you were in the middle of studying or a postdoc, or did you end your studies first and then decided to join the entrepreneurship journey?
So I was working as senior researcher at the University of Geneva, and yeah, somewhere during that period, I decided, when I got into contact with this ecosystem of startups, that this is just a better thing for me to do. I just enjoy it so much, and it's just, yeah, I really like it, and that's when I decided to take the leap.
Fantastic. Now I would love you to share with us what would be your advice to convince a jury like the one at VentureKick. Why do you think they decided you should receive these 150,000? And
sorry, adding on to that, did you get through the 3 stages of VentureKick?
Yes.
Awesome, congratulations on that.
Thank you.
I think it's very impressive, as exactly very few people go through the 3 stages. It's also a sign that a very promising product has been created. But now my question: how did you convince the jury? What did you think was?
Okay, that's a tough one. You need a team, that's for sure. Every startup, everything is about the team. Can you execute on what you want to do? You need, because it's biotech, medtech, you need IP, so you need a patent or patents. You need to protect your idea. And you also need to show traction. During the VentureKick, it's not just money. It's about the process. It's about showing how you can progress your idea or your scientific discovery into a business. And I think this is what we demonstrated with Adipose. We went out, we talked to customers, we talked to doctors, and yeah, I think that convinced them.
I got the question from Anna. How did you found your co-founder? Was that a friend?
Yeah, I've known her for a while, for a long time, and yeah, she was a very good fit in terms of having these complementary skills to mine. I'm a scientist by background, and she comes from finance and business, so that was a really good fit.
Yeah, that is a lucky thing here. Not everyone get that chance. So no advice here on how to do that. You were just lucky, I can imagine.
Look around yourself. Everybody has a network. It's really important to trust your co-founders. It's really important that the team fits, that the team clicks, and then you get this synergy within the team where you can just achieve a lot with few people, essentially.
I received another question. How did you make contact with your tech transfer office? What are the steps? How did they help you? What did they help you?
We're in very good relationship with the tech, Unitech, the TTO of University of Geneva. So when we decided that we will launch the company, we started negotiating an exclusive license for the technology. And yes, it's a process, it's a negotiation like everything, and we got to a win-win situation, I believe.
So can I build onto that question?
Yes, but
Yeah, so how does it happen actually? You developed while you were at uni and then you get the right to use it and to exploit it, commercially speaking?
Yes, I'm the co-inventor, one of the co-inventors of the first patent that Adipose has an exclusive license. And yes, I expressed the intention to open a company, and then we started to negotiate the terms and milestones and everything that's included in the license, exclusive license agreement between the university and Adipose.
thank you, Andre. We have one last question from someone. How relevant do you think it is to have a co-founder? Would you rather get someone quickly because you don't want to be on your own, or do you want to wait for the perfect fit for the person who you want to build a company with?
That depends, but I will put it like this. I think it's always easier to have somebody that is your co-founder. You know, it doesn't have to be a 50-50 split, but you need people around yourself. So take your time, think about who you would like to really trust and go for it, and then, yeah, do it.
Thank you very much, Andre. We are going to move now to our next entrepreneur, Blas. I'm going to invite you to join me
Thanks.
on stage. But before, I'm just going to say also to Andre, stay with us because we're going to have an open discussion later on, and we'll be happy to have your opinion, of course, on different topics.
Sure.
But now we're going to switch topics. This is not medtech anymore. We are going into food tech now today with Neya, quite young company as well, but which is having a lot of attention at the moment from the media, and also just opened the service in Lausanne, where we are based at Venture Lab. So I'm extremely happy that the service of food delivery, homemade by home chef, is available now in Lausanne. And I'm looking forward to hearing the story of Blas, how you became an entrepreneur and how you launched Neya. Thanks for joining.
Hi, everyone. Let me just get a few notes out. Before starting, I would like to obviously thank VirtuLab, Julia, as well as Constance, who have put together the show today. The sponsorship from Unitech and the cooperation with Fongit have been paramount in putting everything together. And I would like to just take 20 seconds to recognize the great job that Andre has done with Adipose, because I think they're really making lives of patients better, and I hope you get through your seed round very soon and that you get your product out there. And even though there's an empty room in here, I would like to invite everybody that's in here just to a round of applause for you, because I think that you really are doing something that is very good. Thanks so much. Thanks. So I was terrified of coming in here today, to be honest. The last weeks have been very busy. We had a lot of job. And for me, talking to an empty room is not something that I usually do. So it's a first time for me. But I'm going to tell you in a few words what Neya is about. And then I will tell you a little bit about my career. And hopefully one of you or two of you will be able to recognize themselves on my past and perhaps get a couple of tips that allow you to improve and make a little bit more mistakes than what I did. So imagine your morning routine during the work week. Maybe you already have a healthy breakfast. You wake up, go to the office, and get the work done. Only to realize that when it comes lunchtime, you have nothing healthy or nutritious to eat. So what do? Do you go to the supermarket to grab a cold and soggy sandwich, or perhaps to a corner takeaway, or to a corporate canteen, or to a restaurant to skim your weekly budget? Sorry. Everybody knows how eating well is affecting your performance at work, but also at home. And we all want to eat better and at a more reasonable price, which is why I want to invite you with me today to join Neya's venture on bringing homemade, well-made meals to every working professional across all European cities. Sorry, a little crack. At NEA, we are committed to the circular economy and a socially responsible approach. Because our community and ecosystem brings together eaters and home chefs, now you have access at the palm of your hand to homemade, well-made meals. Our marketplace is very easy to use. First, you have home chefs who post a meal, then you have eaters who pre-order a meal and choose to either have it ethically delivered for 3 Swiss francs or can go and pick up to meet their chef. Ever since the release of our minimum viable product back on May 15th, we have reached a total number of users of 2,500, which have traded more than 1,350 meals. This happened during COVID times, those times at which we were seeing on TV that we had to stay away from each other. So I consider that these numbers, as small as they are, they must be considered as something pretty positive because we were capable of bringing together people with one common passion, which is eating well and having good food. Our little success does not stop there. We have achieved a 50% recurring ratio, a 4.89 user rating on purchase meal, an average price of 14.3 Swiss francs, and we have recently opened Lausanne, as Julia just said. And we're extremely grateful to the support that we receive from the city of Geneva, from Fongit, from Venture Lab, from InnoSwiss, from VentureKick, from the media, and to everybody that has spared a few minutes of their time on sharing our story on social media. But not everything is hard work at NEA. We also try to have a little bit of fun. I want to share a few pictures of what being a startup like us means, because we work 10, 12, 14 hours, like probably Andre does. But we also try to make it fun, because we engage with young people and we want to make them live something more than only a job. When you connect to this kind of event, you expect to see someone that tells you how to launch a startup, how to find co-founders, how to find money, and many other questions. And certainly these are very well responded online, very well responded on all the Swiss programs that are out there, Venture Labs, InnoSwiss, VentureKick, I already said it, Andre did it, we did some of them. But today I want to talk to you about something that is inert to myself, and is probably what has made me be the person that I am today. And I hope that you, if you want to become an entrepreneur, you make of it your best friend. I don't know if anybody has any suggestion, but I hope perhaps not. Andre touched upon this before, and it's failure. Failure is one of the most important things that I've learned to embrace through my life as an entrepreneur. I have a past from a very loving family, but I've always decided since I was very young to have a different path. And whilst I was in school, I was learning what was taught to me through the books, but when I left and I went into the professional life, I discovered that there were no books for the, pardon my French, shitstorm that I was about to live. And the only way that I had to become a better professional was through failure and through learning from this failure. And when you are an entrepreneur, you really need to embrace that failure. You need to cherish it, because we all want our lives and our professional careers to be a straight line, but the reality is that they're going to look more like that. So we're going to have a success, and then we're going to have a failure, and we're going to be down at the bottom. But then we need to pick us up, because we are the only ones that are going to be capable of doing it, and go back up and be capable of, from a failure, take a learning that will allow us to maintain a path towards being a better person and towards becoming a better version of yourself. Everyone's path is very different. So I'm going to share with you mine, but I'm pretty sure that you and everybody that is listening has a different one. I started working extremely early. When I was a kid, I used to run to the coffee place that was under my parents' flat to ask them to let me clean the coffee machine for a few pesetas back in Spain. At 15 years old, I started organizing events for the local nightclub, and I had the chance of having a mentor that back in the day showed me into business and into how all my energy could be canalized into doing something That was good. I thought it was good at the time, but then I was showing kids how to go to a nightclub, so I don't know if that's seen as good right now. At 18 years old, I created my first company. It was an events management company. I came from that industry. I was managing artists, and I was managing venues, nightclubs that were financially incapable of doing it themselves. I was getting artists that were incapable of talking out themselves in a good way, and I was making them go to places where they could perform and they could be treated equally and treated right. I then tried to go to university, so I didn't go at 18 years old. I tried to go at 21 years old to university, to the UK. At the same time, I was managing a cocktail bar and a restaurant because I had to finance myself, and I failed at university. I did first year without attendance, and I passed everything. Second year without attendance, I passed everything, but then third year, they wanted me to have an 80% attendance rate. And my tutor at the time, Barry Malik, sat me and told me that perhaps it was time for me to quit because my professional career was actually more developed than what a diploma at the day could give me. So I listened to his advice, and I'm extremely grateful to him. So if he ever sees his video, thank you, Barry. You make me do the right call. At 23 years old, I changed industry. I quit the hospitality. I quit the nightlife. It was being too expensive for my health, and I went into electronic cigarettes, which was a little bit better, but not very healthy. I introduced a Chinese company in Europe in a startup mode. Yes, they had funds, but we had to operate like a startup. At 25 years old, thanks to the success that we had with this Chinese company, I was imported by Julien Lacour-Gaillet, an ex-Philip Morris who founded one of the most breakthrough nicotine replacement therapies out there to create his commercial development. I was his first employee, and we developed together NextVap. At 28 years old, I failed to enter an MBA. I did not get through all the stages. Guess I was focused on failing, so I did fail. And then at 29 years old, I created Neya, for which I am very grateful for the co-founders that I was able to get at the time, even if they were just temporary. As Andre very well said, it is extremely important when you're going into a company to do something with someone that will be there for you and that will be your secure base. Secure bases are extremely helpful when you need them and also when you don't need them. So if you want to learn more about secure bases, I recommend you to go and read a book that is called Hostage at the Table, that is taught at many business schools in the world, but it will teach you, or it will bring a lot of things from your subconscious to your conscious about why you do things the way you do now, and especially how you can do them better. When I created all the projects that I did in the past, because I only touched a little bit, but I've been helping pro bono and I've been doing angel investments on different companies, I always try to look at 5 different things. The first one is why I wanted to do what I wanted to do. I wanted to create Fresh and Blunt, which was my first company, because I wanted to help artists that were incapable of marketing themselves to do it and to have good remunerations. When I started Neya because I wanted to bring homemade, well-made meals to working professionals that are incapable today of having them because they are too expensive or because simply they are not available to them. If you want to read more on why, I recommend you to read Simon Sinek's Start With Why or watch his TED Talk. It's fantastic. It's 15 minutes briefing of the book. And people will follow you not because of the product that you have or not because of the route to market, but they will follow of why you do things you do it. So it's very important that you that you pin the why first of all. You need to know who your market is going to be, but it's probable that you will once again fail at knowing it. We thought at Neya that we knew that people would buy if they are less than 39 years old. The reality today is that 50 or 60% of our buyers are actually well above 50 years old. You need to know what you're going to be selling, or what is the way that you're going to be giving this why and whom you're going to give it. Is it going to be a mobile app? Is it going to be an agency? Is it going to be a test? Is it going to be whatever you are going to invent? And once you have that, I recommend you to read the Mom Test from Rob Fitzpatrick and go and test it. Go and talk to people. but not to your friends, because your friends love you and everybody loves an entrepreneur, and it's very easy that people tell you that's a great idea. But the reality is that perhaps it's not a good idea. And perhaps the route to market plan that you had decided is not very good. So Rob Fitzpatrick Mom Test book will teach you how to make the good questions to have good answers from people that want to lie to you. The key question for me is how you're going to do it. I'm going to touch upon that later on, because a good idea, even if Andres said that is worth a lot, and I agree with him, I think that building onto that, you need to make it a product, and that product, as he has done, you need to have a route to market. And he very well said that he got venture kick because the route to market plan that he has. And when you're going to do it, you can start thinking when you want to launch your startup. I think the time is now. Unless you have a red flag. If you want to learn our red flags or inflection points, IBM's CEO back in the day wrote a book on inflection points on industries. It's called Only the Paranoid Survive. Fantastic book. And once you have tailored these 5 things, you must go into execution. An idea without an execution is worth nothing. And I'm not saying it, it's Steve Jobs who said it. I am just going to show you his quote. An idea is worthless unless executed. They're just a multiplier, and it's fine to do a business plan, and it's fine to do a presentation, and you have to do it because you have to understand it. But there is a moment where you need to step away from your office and from your house and from your university, and you need to go there and you need to go to test it, and you need to do your market plan. And if you look at the companies that have succeeded over the last 10, 100 years, you will realize that some of them have a very bad product but a very good route to market plan, and some of them have a very good product and a very bad route to market plan, and they did not succeed. So I invite you to spend quite a lot of time thinking how you're going to get the consumers and how you're going to capitalize your business, because that will probably make the difference in between you finding investors, finding co-founders, and finding people that will help you, and you not doing it and therefore failing, hopefully learning, and go back again with the second, third, fourth, fifth startup until you finally succeed at becoming an entrepreneur. Before leaving you today, before going into questions, I'm going to leave you with a quote that is currently stuck to my computer since 5 years. I don't know if any of you are followers of the UFC, but if you are not, perhaps you have heard of Conor McGregor, which is a very cumbersome character, but he said very, very, very clever one day, there is only one impossible thing, and that's to be a man or a woman who never gives up. So if you are convinced about your idea and you are convinced about your route to market plan, go ahead, because you will find people in your way that will tell you that it's not good and that they will tell you that you will never succeed. But if you truly do your will, you need to go and let the market prove to you that you are wrong. Thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed my talk. Don't hesitate to ask any questions right now through the chat. Also, you can engage with me on blas@neya.app or even my mobile phone. I'm always happy to help any entrepreneurs out there or anybody out there that wants to ask a question. It's 079 910 1234. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Blas. What a success story, actually. I just have a quick question about the stage where you are at now with Neya.
Yes.
How many people are working for Neya?
We currently have 7 employees at the Geneva office and 5 more in Spain, which are the development team. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So we've gone through 2 investment rounds, and now we just open our 3rd round, which I hope it will allow us to develop nationally in Switzerland.
Interesting. So you're active in Geneva,
And Lausanne.
mainly, and Lausanne,
Yeah.
and you want to expand.
Yes, Geneva Canton, Lausanne, and the surrounding area. So it's a total of 30 communes.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
I see a question on the chat now.
Yeah.
Someone is asking where you see Neya in 3 or 5 years.
Great question. I hope in every single major European hub being used by thousands of professionals every single day to have homemade, well-made meals that are nutritious and that are well-priced.
Thanks. Okay. How do you manage interactions with your customers on social media? Do you respond to everyone online?
Yes, not me. I answer to some of them, the ones that contact me directly, I answer. If it's done through LinkedIn, I do answer them myself. Otherwise, we have a social media team with a community manager, which is Marie Pascal. She does a great job. She keeps on doing it, and she answers everyone. Yeah.
So you seem to have been an entrepreneur for forever, pretty much, because you launched your first company at 18. You were already trying to find some tricks to get some paid jobs with 15. Where does that come from? Is that parents that are entrepreneurs, or is that in your blood in different ways?
I think I really don't know where it comes from, but it seems to be like with Andre, something that has always been inside me. I mean, I've been bad at school, really bad at school. My mom, she's an entrepreneur, but I've never been exposed to her entrepreneurial career. My dad, he used to be a politician, and I've, up until the age of 20 or so, been a little bit detached of my family because of my wrongdoing and not theirs. They've always been very supportive, but I was a very bad adolescent back in the day. You can imagine. But yeah.
I'm going to ask the same question as I asked earlier to André. Any tips on how to convince the Venture Kick jury? Because you received the first stage, first grant, and what was there? How did you manage to show them that? Was there already traction from there?
Yes.
Was there already a product that was working, or did you go there with an idea only?
No, we went. It was a tough one for me because first to enter on Venture Kick, you need to come out from a university. Is one of the requirements. Yeah. I am not. I do not come out of a university, so I had to find people to work with me that were coming out of universities, so we could apply to that. And also we had the support from Fongit, which allowed us to do so. And I think what convinced the jury was our traction. There was a lot of questions around the health issue, because we are allowing people to cook from home. We currently have solved that. In case anybody's going to ask it on the chat, we are in contact with health authorities in Geneva and in Lausanne, and we have the luck to have been capable of doing, of regularizing the situation. So everybody is now complying with the health authorities, and they are announced to SCAF. So I guess the traction is what made the difference, because our business is very much, it needs to have a lot of people to succeed. We earn very little out of each transaction. So if we don't achieve thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions of consumers, we are not attractive. So the fact that we showed that within the first 4 months, we had already 750 meals that were sold in COVID times where people want to stay away from each other, I think they took that pretty positive, yeah. And they gave us the first stage. I'm now preparing to present in February, fingers crossed, I'll do my best. But we fight, if I may say fight, is not fight, but we are in competition against great companies, great projects, a lot of tech, med tech, deep tech, fintech that are out there, and it is a tough project, but I hope we're going to be prepared in February and we're going to get through the next stage, yeah.
I hope that as well for you, and
thanks.
Look forward. Another question regarding the decision to be based in Geneva. So you got some support from the state of Geneva, you mentioned, but it's also a question from you, André. Why did you decide to be here in the first place?
So, I was based, and my founder was based here in Geneva at the beginning. And coming from University of Geneva, so it was a logical kind of extension to stay here because it's just the easiest, you know, in terms of you've got so much to do, so where will you go? And again, it comes from the support that we got. We got support from Canton of Geneva, and Fondation Eclosion, which is based here, which really supported us, from the beginning, and that's why we're still here. It all comes from the ecosystem.
Adding on to the support, which is very important, for us it was a little bit of a strategic decision. Geneva has a reasonable size for launching a product like ours, which is a mass market product, I can say. And it is at the same time extremely multicultural, which means that there's expats from almost everywhere in the world, which allow us to examine and analyze who is using our marketplace, so we can then expand to different countries. So it's not as big as other European hubs. We don't need as much money to launch, even though the salaries are expensive. But it allows us to understand who uses our platform and where do we want to go next in Europe.
Thank you. Would you recommend to young entrepreneurs starting right now, actually a more general question now, to become an entrepreneur? In a way, was there a bad surprise for you? You imagined becoming a CEO, and now that you're there, you're like, oh my God, this is very stressful. I don't sleep at night. Is that a decision you would recommend to the people listening to us now?
You want to go first? I can go. Okay, so being a CEO of startup is a new experience for most people. And I think most of founders, co-founders will agree, you need to be prepared to work hard. On the execution, this was mentioned several times, success doesn't come on its own. Nobody gets lucky. You have to work for it. So if you're prepared to work for it, then yes, things come your way.
Absolutely, I agree with that 100%. Actually, the harder I work, the luckier I get. The first time I had exposure to being a CEO, I was 18 years old. I was alone. God forbid, I did so many mistakes. I mean, it was a very tough time, but I liked every bit of it. It's just a personal choice. There's people that they prefer to be employees, but being an employee is not easier. I mean, you also need to have your boss and your colleagues, and everybody needs to be on the same page. So being a CEO, at the end of the day, I think it's just an etiquette. If you are the CEO of Philip Morris, yes, you are a CEO. We have startups 4, 7, 10, 12, 20 people. You're just trying to keep everything together and to lead them and to cohesion the team, but I do not operate like a multinational CEO. If you come to our offices, we are all sitting together. Probably your office is exactly the same. I encourage every single person at NEA or all our investors to call me anytime and tell me what I'm doing wrong. You're probably doing the same thing. So we are one more in the company. Honestly speaking, I think we are one more. Yes, when bad things happen, we are the ones that need to be there and give our face to receive the kicks. But on every day-to-day basics, I think we're just one more. And yes, it's very stressful, obviously. We have work, I don't know how many hours, but...
Many entrepreneurs I got to meet through our work at Venture Lab, so we help them from the moment where they have an idea to the moment where they raise funds and go internationally. And I have the impression that there is this first year where it is extremely stressful and most people have a hard time sleeping and they don't get all the support they need. And that's what we are trying. We are trying to give as much support as possible to avoid that and to make it easier. But have we managed to do that for you? So was the support enough? If you wish to have Did you wish to have more support from either the state of Geneva or other institutions, and what kind? So what were the hardest parts where you feel like you would have needed help?
Honestly, Adipos was really fortunate to get so much support that we got. I really mean that. We got Venture Lab programs, we got Venture Kick support. Here in Geneva, I mentioned the support from several foundations in Canton de Vaud. So we are really grateful that the ecosystem, that everything that is set up here to succeed helped us through this first, and I agree, it is the most difficult period. It doesn't get easier as you go along. However, I agree, it is hard to start. And yes, we are grateful for everything that we got from the system. And yeah.
Well done. Well done on getting all those aids from the state, which are there for everybody that wants to go and get them. We were very, very lucky to be assisted and helped by some of them, and also very lucky to be rejected by others, because it made us understand what we were doing wrong and how we could adapt ourselves. Coming from a medtech, there's a certain number of grants and helps that companies, medtech, fintech, have access. I think the food tech sector could benefit from a little bit more of a push on different areas. We faced the comment of not having a patent or not having a science background many times. But that's just what it is. I mean, what we got was fantastic. I mean, better than what I got back in the day with other companies, that's for sure. But if you ask me, I think that nutrition is very important. Eating well is extremely important. Many health issues can be prevented by eating good food. And there are many companies out there in Switzerland working extremely hard to get good food on your plate, direct from local sources, Magic Tomato, Farmy. There's others doing deliveries of good food, Kiwi, Green Time, and kudos to them, because they faced the truth of sometimes, unfortunately, not being that attractive as science startups, because we are in a science canton, and it's just what it is. But they're doing a great job. They're doing a great job.
I think that's not a surprising point you're mentioning here. I think the Food Valley is launched soon around Lausanne, and there is a new masters in food tech coming up at the University of Zurich. So we can sense there is something happening, but there is more still for maybe some deep tech projects in the medtech sector. Definitely a few more aid there. Thanks to both of you for sharing your perspectives on that, sharing your journey, how it was for you. I'm going to continue just talking now a little bit about the programs that we have. As the people listening are interested in becoming entrepreneurs, we want you to feel supported. We want you to feel that you are not alone in this, and there are the programs by the Foundation Gebhard Rüff that you can apply for. So the idea, it's a philanthropic fund, so they want to support innovation, they want to support young innovators to launch their projects, so we kindly push you to give it a try, to send applications and try to get that support and become the entrepreneurs of tomorrow, let's say it like that. I'm just going to pass. I would love to hear from you. So now we have the little interactive moment, but it's not as interactive as we wish it could be, but we'll invite you to use a short link. The link is bit.ly/venture briefing. The idea, you can use your phone, you can just take it out. We'll stay together now for a couple of minutes before the end of this event. This allows us to know what stage you are at. So if you have an idea, if you are quite sure of your idea, if you're a student at the university or student of applied science, and if you want to get the 150,000 Swiss francs from Venture Kick or from InnoBooster or First Ventures, for that we need to know who you are, and to let us know who you are, just use that link. So bit.ly/venture briefing. Takes 1 minute to just click here and there to tell us what interests you the most, what projects is the one suiting your needs, and we'll make sure to get to you as quickly as possible with information and details about what's the next deadline, how can you benefit from these aids. So we're reaching slowly the end of this session. I would like to thank our two speakers, André and Blas. Thank you so much for sharing your ideas. There's like no crowds here to applause, but then I'm just gonna have to exactly. Yeah, we're just gonna have to applause ourselves. Thanks for
Thank you,
being here.
Julia.
Thanks to you. I'm going to leave that link here for a bit. Please, just asking everyone to do it, even if you're unsure, because maybe in the doubt, who knows, in 6 months you have the best idea ever, and then you have the information to take advantage of this ecosystem. A big thank you to our partners for this event, Unitec, Science Innovation Hub, as well as the University of Geneva. You've been very helpful. Thanks to the Global Week of Entrepreneurship, am I pronouncing this right? For organizing this here. Thank you to Constance and Matthias Kuhn for supporting this and making this possible. I'm gonna stop here and wish you all a good day. For everyone that is watching us live, it's been a pleasure and very fun to be on stage today. I think.
Thank you very much.